If we look at how we're eating today, it's not sustainable. If we don't create products that can actually result in behavior change in terms of how we eat, then we have a really, really big problem on our hands.
I'm sure you've heard about climate change, but it's causing a lot of issues, particularly in agriculture. A lot of the food that we get comes from southern United States, comes from Mexico, comes from Brazil, areas that are going to be disastrously affected by climate change. We don't know if that pathway for food is going to be there in 10 years.
We have to be creative in finding new ways to make the same food that we enjoy eating, but that has less of a footprint on the environment.
Our food system currently cannot last. It will not stand the test of time. So what are some of the future potential options for new food right here in Canada to be able to supply the consumer?
I think that if we look at today's plant-based options, most people will agree that they're not good enough for people to change the way that they're eating. At NSTX, our goal is to make next generation meat and seafood alternatives, products that finally meet customers' expectations when it comes to meat alternatives. So properly recreating the look, the cook, the taste, the texture, as well as the nutritional profile. So we've spent the last 5 years developing a whole new production process so that we can make these products possible. The way our whole cuts are effectively made is we first start by creating what we call a scalp that is effectively made using a plant-based jello. And then we use a process called directional freezing. And that directional freezing process basically freezes the gel from the bottom to the top. When you do that, you get these thousands of little ice crystals that are kind of making their way through that plant-based jello gel. We then melt out that ice, we pull all the water out, and then you're left with these empty channels that are the same width as a muscle fiber. We fill that back in with protein and fats and flavors and colors, and that helps to recreate the exact same texture as a muscle fiber. Our real goal as a company is to create a new manufacturing standard, and then opening up that technology, not just to us, but to every other company out there that wants to use this technology. We're hoping to advance the pace at which we transition to a more sustainable food system.
New School Foods, like most alternative proteins, uses plants for plant-based protein. But what if we could have animal byproducts without the animal?
Milk is one of the most complex liquid. It has 6 major proteins, and that's what makes your cheese melt. That's what makes your cheese bubble in the oven. And that can't be replicated if you don't have a cell that's naturally engineered by nature to make milk, which is the mammary cell that we're using. So Opalia is a cell-based dairy company. We make real milk from bovine mammary cells. We actually isolate cells from the cow udder. So we grow these cells and we give them kind of the basic nutrients, which is amino acids, vitamins, sugars, salts, minerals. And then these cells are able to grow. And then once the cells are ready, we are able to make them lactate using a protein. And then we're able to harvest that milk to make cheese, ice cream, all the dairy products that we know and love. Obviously, when we started, plant-based and nut-based and all of the seed-based milk exists. But when it comes to functional product like cheese or like yogurt or anything that really has a complexity, you really require the different proteins or the fat that you find in real milk. So right now we're still at lab scale. The first, I would say, barrier to scaling is that it's never been done before. So there's a lot of iterations around what is the best vessel to grow and have cells lactate in, what is the cheapest way to do it. We want to scale the process to pilot so that we're able to deliver on different dairy products. And then after that, it's going to be really positioning our products so that we're able to get it to consumers who are eager to try them.
I certainly hope that by showing that we can create better products and that by seeing that customers actually want that we start to see larger companies embracing technologies like this, looking for ways that they can create their own white label products or maybe their own variety on products like this.
I do think that the future of food is in more innovative food sources, whether that's new alternative proteins entirely, whether that's trying to replicate animal byproducts without the actual animal. I think that we're going to be turning so much more attention and so much more investment in Canada into agriculture and into securing our supply chain of food. And I think that we're going to see ideas that we haven't even thought of yet are going to come out. And that is going to be the future of how we consume and what we purchase and what is available to us in this market. And it's going to be created right here by Canadians for Canadians.